This just in, the Phoenix Suns have traded Kevin Durant to the Houston Rockets in exchange for Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, the number 10 pick in this year's draft, and 5 second-round picks. Omar, who do you think won this trade?
I think the Suns have the potential to win this trade. It really depends on what they flip Jalen Green into, because the rumor is they're not planning on keeping him long-term. Now, the nice thing about getting KD is you did get exactly what you were looking for, shot making, especially in the clutch. They realized they do not want Fred VanVleet taking every shot. You definitely didn't want Jalen Green taking the shots. So I understood archetype-wise why they went for KD, but the main issue for me is that he's 36 and he's getting worse. He's fallen off, and LeBron, for example, is better than KD is right now while being older.
Really?
So when I look at current KD, he's really not that elite. And when I look at what I project him to be over 2 to 3 years, I don't think he's that elite. And I think Phoenix got Dillon Brooks, I think, was a great get. I think on the right team, you want Dillon Brooks over KD. I just think in Houston, it was the other way around. Jalen Green, I'm on record saying he was the worst player. They tried to get rid of him as fast as they could. But if the Phoenix Suns can get another dumb GM to give them something decent, I think they won this trade.
I'm going to completely disagree with you on that. I don't think there's any potential that the Suns won, because the league already is well aware of what kind of asset Jalen Green is. I don't see the Suns flipping him into anything worthwhile to build around Devin Booker and I guess Bradley Beal now. That's your big two. For the Houston Rockets, I absolutely love what KD brings to the team. Like you said, clutch shot making, he's a scorer. And you're saying he's getting worse, but I think he's going to have a better year with the Houston Rockets. Even though he's 1 year older, he's playing with a legitimate team. He has a real defense. Okay, with Suns, he would expect to take on more of a defensive load, because you got guys like Devin Booker and Grayson Allen and Yusuf Nurkic. None of them really defensive studs. So you're looking to a 36-year-old KD for defense. With the Houston Rockets, they already got studs like Amen Thompson and that fantastic bench. Can't forget Steven Adams. So he won't have too much of a defensive pressure on him. He'll bring the defense, no doubt. So he's 7'4", he'll bring the length. On the offensive side, he'll do what he needs to be done and bring the offensive scoring that they were missing against the Warriors. And I absolutely love this move. Any Houston Rockets fan who's mad that we traded our 21-year-old star away is literally a moron, okay? Look no further than the Sacramento Kings 2 years ago. First seed, light the beam. They take Warriors to the 7, but they lose. Everyone thought they'd be back next year, including me as an ex-Sacramento Kings fan, real De'Aaron Fox fan. And look what happened to them. They were in the play-in and got knocked out real quick. So this is exactly what the Houston Rockets need to do. They need to make a move to make sure they stayed relevant in the years to come and not waste their fantastic core, including Amen Thompson and Şengün. Amen's my favorite. I'm a little low on Şengün after what I saw him get absolutely dominated by Mr. Green in the playoffs. Not to be confused with Jalen Green, although he would be kind of into that. Anyways. This is a fantastic move. I love that the Rockets were not complacent. I'm also hearing rumors that KD kept declining offers to force the trade, to force Phoenix to make the trade, even though absolutely they would have wanted more assets. So I think the Rockets just strong-armed the Suns and got exactly what they needed.
No, I mean, we agree on Jalen Green. We agree they needed to get rid of him. We agree what they needed to add. So I don't think Houston got destroyed in the trade. I just think people see the name KD and assume, okay, you got KD, you instantly won the trade.
But his potential to be even better this year, though.
I don't really think he has the potential to be better. You brought up how Houston has a good defense, so that takes some pressure off KD. Exactly. Sure, but KD's one of his advantages is that he's a pretty good defender because of his
he'll slot really well with the Houston culture.
But here's the issue. He's been having more turnovers off his dribbles, and in general, his dribbling has been looking worse than ever. And what do the Houston Rockets not have? 3-point shooting, especially if they put someone like Terry Eason into the 3-point line. Maybe Cam Whitmore if he can get the 3-ball going. But if you can't, really the only respectable 3-point shooter you have is Fred VanVleet.
And now KD as well.
No, I'm talking around him because Dillon Brooks was one of your best 3-point shooters.
That's fair.
So you replace Dillon Brooks with KD, but I just worry how KD will be able to go get a bucket when he doesn't have spacing around him. So you'll be able to crowd him, you'll be able to attack him.
That's valid, but I think the Rockets' offense is better than the Suns, no doubt.
I think the Suns had more. I think they had more because of Grayson Allen. But he was a defensive.
Okay, Grayson Allen was a defensive liability. You couldn't even start him, really. You didn't want to start him.
Sure, and so you can make. That's what I'm saying. He just swapped one problem for another. He had defensive issues on Phoenix. Now on Houston, he's going to have offensive issues.
I don't think that many offensive issues because I think the Houston offense is better than the Phoenix offense.
I don't know because I remember a lot of games where Phoenix was scoring 120 and still losing because so that's a pretty good offense. You just have a terrible defense.
Yeah, but with Bradley Beal's inconsistency,
Oh yeah, Bradley Beal was
Booker,
trash. Bradley Beal
combined
was
with D Book as well, I feel like the Houston Rockets offensive product, I think is better, but we can at least agree it's not that much worse.
Yeah, no.
And they definitely have a better defense. And
Yeah,
you don't lose that by losing D Brooks.
But I just don't think, like, I saw the odds. Houston was like plus 750, third or second in the West. I really disagree with that. I think Denver still up there. I think Golden State still up there. Obviously OKC still up there. And if Kyrie comes back and AD comes back, I got Dallas over Houston.
Okay,
for
Nico
example.
Harrison.
So
No mention of my Lakers. No mention of my Lakers.
I just think it's not a well. Man, I don't know what's going on with the Lakers. I just don't think this trade is as good for Houston as people think. And just to touch on the Suns side real quick, you were talking about how they got Bradley Beal. What are they even going to do? Yeah. Well, the rumor is they're either going to try to get rid of him for like a second round pick, anything.
We had no trade clause.
Or they're going to buy him out. And I think they're in a rebuild mode, and I like Dylan Brooks for that because one thing I want to talk about with KD, I lost some respect for him this year when he wasn't able to get Yusuf Nurkic in line with him. He wasn't able to be a leader, and he actually disliked Nurkic and his quote-unquote lack of effort so much that he traded him to the Hornets. Nurkic was like their second best player. Yep. And people clowned on me when I was saying that. I was asking everybody I know, like people who actually know ball. I was like, yo, am I just crazy? Is Nurkic actually not good? They're like, oh, he's not really trying on defense and stuff. I'm like, okay, sure, but who are you going to get? They go and get Nick Richards. Everybody was like, they got a real center. They got a real center. Man, he got put on the bench within 10 games. So
I would say that was a rare W for you. I absolutely agree with you that KD Nurkic thing. When I saw that made me think KD was not interested in winning. And but the thing is, we know from 2016 he's not that guy. Nothing he will do will change that. Yeah. That's the thing. He's coming to the Houston Rockets. He's not expected to be the leader. They have a fantastic coach.
Who's the leader? It's the coach. It was Fred VanVleet and Dylan Brooks.
They still have VanVleet and they still have the coach. And then Şengün, they had the perfect opportunity for Şengün to step into a leadership role.
I can't. How you gonna get led by a man who can't? Like Draymond literally made him look like a child.
Okay. I hate to say this as a Braun fan, but Braun got stung by JJ Barea. It happens to all the greats. They have that one dude that had their number. Okay, it happens. So
okay. But to go back to the Phoenix Suns real quick, I think Dylan Brooks is going to be great for their rebuild. Now you got a culture around you. Remember, people were signing up.
No way. I don't think D Brooks does not define the Suns culture at all.
I think Dylan Brooks is going to give you...
That came down to D Book, and he did not set up any culture.
I think Dylan Brooks is going to be a worse version of CP3. Obviously, CP3 is a better player, better culture. But Dylan Brooks is going to bring you some defensive hustle. He's going to bring you some energy. He's going to make your team not be Charmin soft like you were with KD and D Brook. Both guys... you mean D Book? D Book, yeah. D Book and D Brook. So I think he's going to be the real DB here. But I think this 5 second-round picks is good, and I think the 10th
it's good. I feel like that was a throw-in. That's what the guy at the F&F office at the car dealership.
But I think
make sure you buy the car. You should not.
I think that's what you need though when you're rebuilding. Just the Seahawks GM I think was talking about this on the NFL side. There's not a lot of skill and ability in the draft. A lot of it is luck. Obviously, if you're the first pick or second pick, you'll usually end up getting a good player.
Watch the dub.
But once you're out of James Wiseman, shout out. Once you're out of there, you just sort of need volume. So I didn't hate it. And the thing is, Phoenix had to get rid of him. They can't contend. They can't win, like you said. Yeah. And the Heat were unwilling to give up any good or developing player like Jaime, Nikola Jovic, just anybody. Yeah. So what else were they going to get for KD? Like, who wants KD? What contender wants KD? Minnesota sort of wanted him, but he's like, I am not trying to go to Minnesota.
Well, honestly, I don't know if Minnesota would be a great fit anyway. They need a point guard. They don't need another score-first forward.
Yeah, I agree. But so on the Phoenix end, I feel like everyone just wants to say Houston won, but how did Phoenix lose?
But I think the idea they could have gotten more. They got another shooting guard they don't need, and the market is already seeming to get wise to on how bad he is. You had D Brooks, who's a solid role player, but come on, you just gave up KD. And then
Dylan Brooks is good, bro.
And the 10th pick, I just don't know what's going to come of that.
I just think Dylan Brooks is being really underrated. I think Dylan Brooks is closer to KD than KD is to someone like Shea or Jokic. Like to D Brook and KD, they're dang near interchangeable.
But D Brook
they got
like
different
the cherry
strengths
on the top of a championship contending team. KD can put you over the hump.
That's exactly what I disagree with. I think that's exactly what people misunderstand. KD,
okay, go off then.
How can he be on a championship team? What does he do on an elite level?
26 points per game on efficient splits.
That's regular season, bro. You watch the splits in the playoffs this year. Say him, you can't because he didn't make them. Yeah, he's not good enough.
Making it to the playoffs, just like winning a ring, shout out LeBron, is a team endeavor.
Okay, no.
You can't just blame KD.
I think that's so... People are going to try to make those kind of arguments. I think that's so wrong. Winning a chip is a lot about luck. Because once you even get into the playoffs, it's about matchups. It's about small sample size. You have to win a best of 7. Regular season, you got 82 games
but
to make it to the 10th seed,
effort.
bro. He ain't even make it to the play-in. And by the way, he only played in 62 games.
Oh.
He didn't even make the 65 mark. He's not like super injured or anything, but he's beat up. Like, he is skipping games. And I don't know if that's going to get any better as he gets older. I just think that's something to point out too. Houston doesn't care because they're going to win in the regular season without him, and they're just hoping he'll be clutch in the playoffs. But that's another thing for someone like Dillon Brooks. He's going to show up more in the regular season. He'll get you some wins. That's part of his value.
I totally disagree on that, and you're still underselling KD. Fine, D Brooks is, maybe he's a stud. He's a hidden gem. No one can see it but you. Fine. I can see some of that aspect. I still think he's more of a cherry on the top kind of guy. He didn't really lay the foundation for a championship winning team, but KD is absolutely what the Rockets need. When you're watching that Warriors series, when Sengun was getting sun, when Van Vliet was being himself, and Amen wasn't popping off, the Rockets couldn't get offense. It was so hard to watch. You watch Suns games? I went to a Suns Spurs game last season in the winter. KD could not miss. So imagine you put that guy
versus the Spurs.
True. You're
trying to think all the codes.
It don't matter. Same idea. Imagine that guy was on that Rockets team against the Warriors. They're winning in like 6.
No, because
at most.
Because here's the thing: that Rockets Warriors series. Who was it that got injured? Jimmy Butler, right?
Yeah, toward the back end.
Yeah, towards the back end. That's exactly when you thought Houston might have some hope. So maybe KD wins you that series. I'm not disagreeing on that. That's the first round.
I
don't think that team's beating OKC. I don't think that team's beating a healthy Dallas. I think Houston is in a situation like the New York Knicks were when they went for Mikal Bridges. It's actually pretty similar. I do think they had to give up less than the Knicks gave up for Mikal.
Yeah, true.
And KD's slightly better than Mikal. So I agree it's like a better version of that.
There's another thing. That's another reason the Rockets won. If we look at the precedent set by the market.
Well, that's because the New York Knicks are generationally bad.
See,
at trades.
I don't think they're that bad. I think that there was obviously a precedent for the Nets to be able to get that many picks for Mikal Bridges.
They gave up way too much for Mikal Bridges. But okay, to get back
on topic,
I think it's a similar situation where you're not the best team before the trade, and you're not the best team after the trade, but you did upgrade. Yeah. You did upgrade.
But what you said, championship about luck. Now they're in a position where if the luck goes the way, the cards fall in the right manner, they can definitely win a chip.
They're finally good enough where if the thing happens in the East where 3 Achilles get blown out.
I mean, Damian Lillard, he wasn't a factor.
Sure. But just like Jason Tatum with the Celtics and then the Cavs, no showing and multiple injuries to the starters. If something like that happened in the West, sure, Houston could definitely get to the finals and even win the finals. But I do wonder where they're going to go from here because they have a critical issue where who is their best player? I'm going to guess most people are going to say Sengun because even if it is KD, you're going to be like, well, Sengun's younger, right? Yeah. So he's developing. Is Sengun good enough to win a chip in the next 2 to 3 years?
If you're the Rockets, you have to believe that.
I think and that's a terrible thing to have to believe because Steven Adams is better than Sengun right now.
No.
That playoff series better have shown everybody what I was talking about when I was blazing this man all regular
Adams
season.
Is fantastic. I'll give you that, but he's not better than Sengun.
And call him equals if you want, but Sengun needs to level up. When you compare him to the Jokic, the Sheas, obviously Giannis is in the Eastern Conference, and then Luka in the West. I think Sengun is probably slightly worse than AD still.
I had Sabonis over Sengun. So
I don't even have that, but if you do, that's a bad sign for the Rockets.
I would expect Sengun to improve, and because at the end of the day, from the Houston Rockets perspective, you have to go forward assuming he will improve. Because if he doesn't, your team is cooked anyways. So you have to operate expecting that he'll take that next leap. He already became an all-star this year, so
you could trade Sengun.
From last year, but then I just don't know how other people will give what you need a star in return. Yeah, you need a star for star swap.
I wonder if they looked for that. That's sort of what because everything is pointing towards they're building around Sengun and Fred VanVleet and trying to go for a chip, just like you're saying. And I just don't know if that's actually going to happen. I guess. But yeah, all to say. Houston had a decent trade. This is not bad. Mm-hmm. But people out here clowning the Suns, I just think is disrespectful. I think this is one of the few good decisions the Suns GM has managed to make. I don't know if he referred to a voodoo doll or some psychic because clearly his own decision-making is pretty piss poor, for lack of a better word, with the Bradley Beal no-trade clause, then trading away Nurkic because KD complains, and now KD's left, and now all you got is Nick Richards on your team. Tyus Jones, overrated. You went and snagged him up, although you got a good deal on him, so whatever.
That was a great deal.
I mean, in hindsight, it was like whatever.
Yeah,
but
but
at the time,
at the time,
sure.
he had the.
I was lower on him than most of the market, but
All right. We're getting off topic anyways.
Yeah.
But that brings us to the close another segment of the 50-50 show. Thank you for watching, y'all.